this next video is pretty long, and it is a collaboration with a wonderful couple that we met at the Great American Farm Tour premiere for the documentary. Their names are Matt and Bethany, and they are 20 Acres Farm, and they are from South Dakota. They are the ones who came the furthest, and they came over to where we were staying, and we did a collaboration. It was pretty cool to meet them. So we're just going to play this for you, and you can put it in the background and, you know, make something wonderful in the kitchen while you're listening to it and enjoy. I'm sorry if the sound isn't terrific. That particular room we were in was not terrific for video, and I apologize for that. Hopefully you can hear this.
Did you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Is yours all running?
So this is 20 Acre Farms, and we are here with a really great channel, and this is Heartiness Approach. And so we're going to do this together today. You guys want to talk a little bit about who you are,
Sure.
what you are, what your channel's doing?
Sure. Well, we always like to start by introducing ourselves. I'm Jim.
I'm Rhenda, and we're Heartiness Approach. That's our opening.
Yeah, we started YouTube a little over a year ago.
About a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half now at this point. And the big push for us had to do with being healthy. We have several years that we've been working at getting healthier, and this was a great opportunity to get started and share our success and encourage other people to make the changes.
So basically we do real food, exercise, being emotionally well, and doing it in a homestead setting, and making it, we zero in on people that are our age. We didn't start that way, but it all ended up that way, and we're really happy that there's others. We love all of our young
And by the
ones.
way,
And so we do it sustainably living in place.
Yes.
Is that what you were going to say?
and that a homestead doesn't have to be acres and acres. A homestead can be a planter box on your patio, if that's all you have. I mean, the idea is to do what you can, make the most of what you have. That's the point.
Awesome. Well, it's really good to meet you guys. We got to be with them a little bit yesterday, and that's where we met them here in North Carolina. But they are on a big move. They're on a big mission, moving from Oregon to Missouri. They found a place. Can you tell us a little bit now about that move, why that move, and how that all
I'm
took
going to let you
place?
do that.
Okay.
You can go over that show.
6 months ago, we left, actually 6.5 months ago, we left Oregon. We had to leave there. We were on a homestead, and they kept raising the rent, and it wasn't going to be sustainable.
Plus, what's important is we talked to the landlord about doing more.
We wanted to do pigs and cows, and he said, no. And in fact, I'm going to raise the rent. And he really liked us, but anyway. So we had to find a place. And so we've been on a 6-month mission, literally all over the United States.
So the first question might be, Oregon's a great place. Why didn't you find something there?
So out west is where most of our children are. And the problem is in 2 things. It's too expensive, and there's not enough water, and there's too many restrictions. So I guess that's 3 things.
Yeah. You know, maybe we might have been able to find a place somewhere. The search was really difficult. We couldn't match up what we wanted to accomplish and find a place that could do that we could afford.
And so we found a place in Missouri. It's about 30 acres. It was extremely affordable. The taxes are amazingly great. And we have 2 ponds and a creek and barns. And
Missouri is very open to having you pretty much do almost anything you want.
And before anybody says it, yes, we know it's hot and humid. We get that. Yeah. We've been there before and stuff. So there's nothing perfect about any place like where you guys live.
Yeah.
What would be wrong with your place in North Dakota or South Dakota?
But you know, everywhere there is something, and you got to work around it. You got to work with it, and there's got to be a reason to be there. And both of us have. If we go back at least 1 or 2 generations, we have family there. They may not be there anymore, but there were multiple generations who lived
In Missouri.
In Missouri.
I wonder if, before we go any further, if we could introduce you a little bit for our viewers.
Yes.
So, introduce yourself.
Great. So we are 20 Acre Farms, and we are out of South Dakota, Selby, South Dakota, where it's cold, snow blowing, craziness.
Blizzards and lots of hot.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just have a little 20-acre plot where we have a milk cow. We have some sheep, chickens. We've had goats on the property, ducks, turkeys, and we have 3 kids not here with us right now. But we love homesteading, and we love to kind of capture our moments to share with others so that they can learn and progress their homestead. And we're all about know and grow. So we grow our own food, and we know where it comes from. We know it's on it. It's a big deal to
I
us.
love that. I
Don't
love
grow,
that.
Don't grow.
I'm putting that on my wall.
Yeah. So that's great. So previous, you guys have talked a little bit on your channel about finding land. You know, you've rented. So there are different ways. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of land. You rented. It just wasn't the best situation in the end.
It actually was the perfect situation
okay.
for a while.
If we had gone
gorgeous.
into it better, if we had talked to the landlord, we just assumed too much, and we should have asked the questions. It might have caused us to look at something else, or he might have let us do more from the beginning.
We actually have made a video on what to do if you're going to rent a homestead.
Okay.
It's super possible. You just need to know, go in with your eyes open.
Yeah, that's huge. So yeah, definitely. If you're going to rent, you need to be very open or be very inquisitive with your landlord on, you know, what am I able to do? How far am I able to go? And then these are the dreams. These are what I'm expecting our family, what we want to do on that homestead, and is this even plausible for that?
Right.
Yep.
We had 2 great years there,
Okay.
and built a lot of infrastructures that we had to sell.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Well, it's just stepping stones too. You know, some places can be a stepping stone
Yes.
with a launching pad.
yes,
It was a
thing.
wonderful addition to our education. That's
Yeah.
for sure. It was.
and you guys have been on your property for how long?
About 3 years.
3 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, now for you though, you've known the area a little.
Yeah,
longer.
I grew up there, so
And
I
you
was
moved
there
from?
Montana. We lived there for about 7 years.
Yeah,
And
and
then
actually,
moved back.
the 20-acre property which was at one point a much bigger, probably over 1,000 acre-ish. No,
I don't even know.
anyways, has been in Bethany's family for a long, long time.
Since the
So
80s about.
yeah,
Oh, that's
and
great.
so that
So
property.
the family makes up for the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
I
least
mean,
that's
it
what we
really
tell
does.
ourselves.
keeps it warm. At least our hearts are warm. It's South Dakota. So, yeah. So moving now to Missouri, is that fitting? I mean, just moving on to the place as it is, how much of your world does that actually, I mean, does it complete everything right off the bat? I mean, it just seems like you can't ever find the perfect spot, but how?
It's not perfect, but we're going to be there in 3 days.
Yeah. Wow.
And we visualize what it's going to be like to go on there and take the walk around the property that's now our property.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And of course, we've already started making a long list of all the things we want to fix and
Yeah.
all the things we want to build and all the things we want to do. And we just have to take our time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
But I think as far as what we wanted to do, primarily what's there is pasture. We wanted to do gardening and you know, raise different kinds of crops that we could use, and it's been totally pasture, which, as you know, can have some challenge turning that into something where we're actually growing what we tend to grow. So from day one, we're going to have to, first we've got to totally look at it and be sure what we have, what's the soil like, all the aspects of it, where we think we want to put the gardening area, is that going to work? Is that really slope-wise, quality of the ground, soil-wise, is this going to work? Is there going to be a better location to do it? So there's a lot we have to
because we ultimately want to do a market garden.
Market gardening.
We
okay.
want to pattern it after JM48.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And really use him as our mentor through his books and
Mhm.
classes and things. And I know it's like a leap to do that, but I feel like if we follow him, that we can make it work.
Yeah.
Well, one thing we looked at, I mean, there were a lot of criteria that went into that, and one of them was how many growing days do we have? How many days between frosts?
Oh,
And
how
we
many
wanted,
growing days do you guys have?
Not many.
and one of our goals was to hit close to 180 days, which is moves us south a ways, and we realized that. But knowing our goals, it's important that we have enough time to grow. And there are ways around it. There's ways you can work with it. But what we opted for was to have that many days. Well, we're ending up with like 190. So, you know, that was a big deal. But one other factor that moved us away from some of the areas we were looking at, we looked to see, are there currently farmers markets, which means there's a market. People are willing, there's enough people interested in buying those kinds of products that there's an opportunity for us to fit in. And some of the areas we looked at, there weren't any farmers markets. And I tried to look and figure out why, and then some of them I got plausible answers to that. This area has farmers markets in several of the little towns, and in the bigger towns close by, there's a year-round farmers market. So we're thinking to ourselves, well, this isn't a full market study, but it's there.
Plus, we want to have, what's it called? CSAs.
Oh, CSAs, yes.
and sell to restaurants or stores and things like that.
So apparently there's some possibilities. It's going to have to be developed. But we've watched Joel Salatin and the way that he got himself started, how he went to all the groups and he talked and he published and he did so much to make people aware of what he was doing, and he changed things enough to where he had a marketplace, and we realized that's the types of activities we're going to have to do to make it happen, most likely.
Oh yeah.
Well, could you tell what you did on to bring in income to your place? It was so creative.
Yeah. Well, I think just what you were saying, like if you don't have something in your homestead, I think you have to create it. You know, like you said, if you don't have a market for something.
Now, I think you told me something about boxes and getting outside of that box. Yeah.
Thinking outside the box. I'm a very out of the box thinker, and Matt's very meticulous in just day-to-day operations, and so we work really well.
You need both.
We need both, and thinking outside the box was really huge for us on our place because we wanted to create farmers markets. There's nothing in our area that people came and gathered, and we, you know, I'm from long generations on both sides of being entrepreneurs and being farmers and ranchers, and so it wasn't that many years ago that everybody gathered together on Saturday nights and went out dancing and had live music and food, and everybody gathered together around the kitchen table. And we just felt like, man, that's just something that's so missing from our culture, is just genuine friendships. And so community, building community. So we, on our little 20 Acre Farms, we said, you know what, I think we should just do these farmers markets. And so it started out my idea thinking a lot of people that grow, you know, vegetables and can bring their stuff all to one location, one Saturday a month. We'll have live music and food and, you know, dancing and all of that. And it just ended up being no food because of our growing conditions. And if you have a market in June and July, you're certainly not going to have produce by that time.
Yep.
Right.
And so towards the end of our markets, I would say August and September, right, is when people started bringing more of those things.
Time.
But you had vendors that made homemade goodies and
like soaps or crocheted or knitted or sewed or cooked photography.
Hand forged knives, baked goods,
breads.
Wow.
And it was just neat because when you created that expectation, well, to be a vendor at our farmers market, you have to be handmade or homegrown. It kind of made people be creative. Like it helped people kind of think back to those things they used to do, those skills that they used to, you know, maybe knew from their grandparents, or you know, something I used to do before I had kids, or something that I did before, you know, and now maybe they're retired. We had a lot of people retired that would come back and, well, I used to do this, and I have all this stuff sitting in my garage that's in a, you know, and like started bringing, even my grandpa, he's 90, he brought all these little things. Can you sell these? Can you sell these little things?
That's wonderful.
You know, he's amazing. Yeah, little hand stained glass.
So totally intergenerational.
Yeah. Oh, we had people my age, you know, 20s all the way up to 90. It was just neat to be able to have an atmosphere where people could come. They came from hundreds of miles away. I mean, it was just, and they stayed, you know, and they stayed around for a while.
And
it was really fun.
I think the other part, I mean, it's just like meeting you guys. I mean, it was, you know, hanging out last night. We don't know you from anybody, really.
Mhm.
And yet, because we have a certain, you know, certain things in common, we can sit around the table and almost feel like
We
family.
call it like-minded.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
thought, man, why is that not happening in our community? You know,
Mhm.
we're such a small community, but why can't we neighbor up to other people? And so instead of just sitting back in our place, where I think a lot of the culture in small town farming in our area is we don't really want everybody else to see what we're doing on our farm. We don't really want to share our secrets because, you know, we're getting by, we're doing well with what we're doing. And we don't want to just invite people to be a part of what we're doing.
So it's not like we're hiding trade secrets. We're just maybe a little self-conscious.
Yeah, because I don't know what you're going to think of me, and you don't know what I'm going to think of you. And then all of a sudden, that's just a big wall. It's just a
Wow.
huge
Yeah.
barrier there. And we need to really break that down and call neighbors, and call that community. And we've found that I think our first farmers market had over 300 people. And
Oh my goodness!
You
And
know-
there's only 700 in their town.
yeah, and
We drew out people.
you know, we had Bethany's dad
On
on a
horseback.
horse parking all the cars, and it was just like really,
I love it.
yeah, it was really neat, and it was just a sense of barriers down. You're here because we're family.
Okay,
You
so
know, and
you're
so-
doing that again this summer?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're starting one. You have to come on out.
Road
Yeah.
trip.
Road trip.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
we
that's
are
what's-
on our way to Canada
Yeah.
to visit somebody, so if we could coincide
Yes.
it, we
Oh,
could
there
come to one
the
of
last
those.
Saturday in every month.
Okay.
June, July,
Yeah,
August,
yeah.
September is our
Oh,
plan.
okay.
Yeah.
So you
It
guys
might
are
fit.
welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think just building that community, like, you know, like I was just thinking when Grandpa, you know, they raised a couple thousand broiler chickens every year. And everybody came to the farm to pick up their chicken. They knew where their food was from. So I think even if you can't physically grow chickens on your own property, it's great to still connect
Support.
and still, you know,
to
the people,
know where your food
to know where your food
What
comes
he
from,
always says
you
is
know?
if you can't grow it yourself, go to the farmer, look him in the eye, so that you know that what he's putting into your belly is going to be good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah.
so true.
And I think another thing with the farmers market that we found was it was such kind of what people thought was going to be a really small venue. So we got just people coming out of the woodwork, and it's like we just found so many talented people that have
Mhm.
never been able to really market their items outside of.
Yeah.
They don't want to get online on Etsy and try
Yeah,
to figure all this
yeah.
stuff out. They just want to
Just be
a place that-
hometown people.
yeah, if they could sell a couple of things, and it's like, wow, we have talented people all around us that, I mean, the stained glass and the woodwork.
We're talking South Dakota here.
Yeah, so it was another way for just to, you know, put a little bit of light and shine the people in our community that,
And try to keep our money in our community, you know, like
Right.
you don't realize what you have to find gifts for people, to find food for your, you know, family, to find whatever. I mean, you know, things for your own home until you start, wow, I didn't know you did that. You might
Yeah.
do that, you know?
Yeah, you just
It was
you
fun.
really
What we experienced
together.
before was that when you are in a community like that, we had neighbors that were 25 miles away, and it didn't matter
Mhm.
because you were neighbors.
Yeah.
You all lived in the
I
country.
think it was a little different than what you experienced because she's actually talking about a different location in Oregon. We were in southern Utah for a while,
okay,
and this
Down
was
on
an
the
area that had been settled in the mid 1800s, and a lot of those same families were still there. So this
Wow.
is, you know, the descendants, and their community had been built over time, and everybody knew everybody.
yeah.
But we were all neighbors, and they would have a farmer's market down in the big city, and then they would come back home and they'd call their neighbors and say, "We have this much food
Yeah, this
left.
was
We have
left
this
over.
much
This
food
was
left.
left over.
If you want to come over and
Yeah.
purchase it or whatever and give it, you know, it was just wonderful.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
community
Mhm.
is so wonderful. I'm so thrilled with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's fun and anybody can do it, you know. That's what we want to create is not just that, oh, come to 20 Acre Farm. No, do this kind of change in your own
Yeah,
community.
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know, because it can really spiral effect and you can really create community no matter where you're at.
Yep.
You know, and build friendships.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you're gonna close on Friday. What's that?
I'm gonna make sure you're going
You're gonna close on
is.
Friday.
Okay.
You're gonna start that journey. So what are the first few things that you're excited about? I mean, just tackling right away, or I mean, is there urgency on certain things that you need to get going?
I don't think we have urgency.
Okay.
And that probably relaxes us a little bit.
Yeah.
He has a job that he's able to work. I mean, we were both retired, and then we decided maybe not quite yet. And so he works for our son from our home. So, you know, he's able to do.
But I need the internet to do that.
So we don't have an urgency, but yeah, we want to get the garden ready first. Even we've still got to go to Oregon and pick up our things. So if before we leave for Oregon, if we could get down the sheet mulch and some compost and stuff so that it's getting ready for us, so that when we get back we can plant it. That's the way to go. And then as soon as we get back, we're getting chickens. So
Okay. Yeah.
getting those chickens, and we plan to get pigs and eventually a milk cow. But we've kind of made ourselves say, no, we're holding off on the milk cow until we have more people to know us, and that we could have teenage boy or whatever come over that we trust. We met some people last night, and he goes, this young man says, I'll come over, and I'm like, you're in Georgia. But you look really nice. So,
but that's another aspect of community, because as you know, you don't walk away from the farm.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be there, especially if you have animals. Somebody's got to be
you're
there.
lucky in that you have family.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we want to be able to do everything where, yes, we're still dependent on being there, but we can have someone come in that knows the farm and can take over when we go visit grandkids.
I mean, we got grandkids. We can't just expect them all to come over. Although most of them have said, "Hey, we're going to come."
Yeah.
That was the first question our daughter asked. Who they don't have kids yet, and they're in the process of adopting, because it looks like that's going to be the only way for them. Hopefully, our suspicions are once they get that well underway, then they'll probably that'll change for them. But anyway, her first question was, so can I bring the kids
For a week every summer?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
So we do eventually feel that our goal is that he won't have to work, that it'll just be the homestead, and we'll just be putting ourselves into doing our broilers, which we sell, and our market garden, which we do.
Right.
Now, and an important part, and you know, it's not physically, it's hard work. There's no doubt about it. And so usually people who are getting to be our age, instead of planning on doing something like this, are walking or running even away from it. And our opinion is you need to be able to sustain yourself, which means whatever you're doing is something you could continue to do. And we don't plan on ending up in an old folks home somewhere. I mean, we actually managed independent living communities for a while, and they're great, they're wonderful, they have their place, but
Just
it's not our place.
So we're doing things that are sustainable. And I was talking to Justin this morning when we were milking the cow, and he said how tired his hands got, and I said, yeah, we really can't do it anymore. And he goes, then what are you going to do? And I said, oh, well, we had gotten a milker, but it was battery operated. And it just popped on and came right down into the jar. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah, we have to get things that are sustainable for us. And we have a really great way to chop our wood that isn't a huge axe that goes down. And so we're just finding more and more products and sharing them with people.
And techniques.
So that we are sustainable.
And that's what we want to share with everyone who wants to do this but are concerned about their health. Is first of all, get healthy. Yes, absolutely get healthy. But do things in a way that you don't tear yourself down, that you can keep doing as time goes forward. Because, you know, for us, retirement is going to mean doing what we love to do. And we are in love with homesteading. And so this is what we intend to do until we can do nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for people your age to be in it. because if it was all just people our age, then it dies off. But there's so many people your age getting into it that have never been into it. That is so wonderful. And how are you guys working towards being able to do it full time?
Yeah.
Or are you?
Yeah. So you know, we are trying to build up some. So on our property, we have the farmers markets, but we also have Bethany runs the Tiny House boutique, Tiny House Boutique, which is a tiny house that we lived in. Yeah, we lived in a tiny house for about 6, 7, 8 months. 208 square feet.
204.
204
Bless
square
your heart.
feet. 3 kids.
Three
There
kids.
are five people and 204 square feet. I mean, if anybody watching has ever wanted to do that, you know,
Watch our channel first.
No, but
it was a good experience.
So Bethany had this idea of why you know it's a neat place to go and see. It's just like when you get in there, you just feel like, oh, this is just a great
cozy.
place. It's so cozy and just great. And so we parked that right on our property, and then we are open. Either by appointment or days throughout, you know, certain days throughout the week.
Now after the winter's over, we'll be open.
Yeah, and she sells items, or actually our whole family is really involved in that. And then Bethany does hand make leather earrings, and so through those revenues, we do hope to actually just be full time on the homestead, and those are kind of our goals and aspirations to get to that point.
Yeah.
Of you know, we homeschool, homestead, and home. Kids. And so it takes a lot of time to do those things. And so we love it. That's exactly where we want to be. You
It's
know, that
just
makes
a
our hearts
passion.
joyful.
It is such a passion.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up like that. You know, my dad was obviously an entrepreneur, farmer, rancher. So, and then his dad, and I believe I should look to see how many generations it goes back. But I mean, we just did life together. We didn't homeschool. I wasn't homeschooled, but you just did life together. And so that's what he did grow up on a farm and ranch. So he didn't get to experience kind of that day in and day out, you know, and homeschooling just works so beautifully with homesteading too for us because, you know, since we have the Tiny House Boutique, the kids are learning how to manage the cash drawer. You know, so he's 7 and he can already count back change, and that's a lot of skills that most adults don't have. You know,
Most adults, they just kind of grab it and put it, they have no clue. That's right. Yeah.
And so, you know, just doing that and learning how to, you know, serve customers well, and learning how to hear complaints, learning how to just have those customer relations, and learning how to handle, just learning how to get along with people. And and then the tiny house kind of spun off of the farmer's market. So I was like, man, all these people are saying, you know, all these vendors that were coming, you know, I love what I do, but I don't want to open an Etsy shop. I don't want to open a retail space. I just like what I do, and I like to do it on the side a little bit. Well, I was like, well, maybe what if I created a space for them?
So do you do a
sell it?
consignment?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So we have about
wonderful.
20 consignment accounts. So I
my
kind of
goodness.
just reached out to all
Oh
of those
my
vendors.
goodness.
And I just said, hey, you know, are you interested in selling your stuff more than what it, because most of these people, you don't have to tell somebody who's crafty or who's whatever how to produce. That's what they're good
They got
at.
it.
Right.
They know that
They don't know
it's-
the marketing.
They just don't know the marketing side of it. And I've been in sales a long time and have learned those skills. And so I was just like, you know what? If this is something you lack and I have, let's work together. Let's collaborate. And and I think they've found it to be beneficial because then their product's not just sitting in a cardboard box in their garage. you
Hoping
know?
someday something may happen.
Yeah.
Well, and as another thing is, you know, with those vendors or, you know, the people that do that with us is when somebody says, well, where can I get this? Well, you know, actually, you can just go out to the Tiny House Boutique and pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a place for you to go and buy it besides just coming into my garage and trying to sort it through. So it just kind of gave them an outlet that way.
And just build, I mean, we really wanted to create this community where it's like, I want to sharpen you, you can sharpen me. And
That's wonderful.
let's just feed off each other and grow our businesses together. Because we are, I mean, I can't do the boutique by myself because we cash flow everything on our property. We don't have debt. And so I can't fill that with thousands of dollars in inventory. And so they're helping me out big time
Really
by having our boutique filled with
Right.
So really what I'm hearing you say is this is what's available to us. And you've maybe thought out of the box a little bit and turn it into something. So, I mean, nobody has to mimic you.
Right.
Because their situation is different, but there's an opportunity around them.
One of the small barns on our property we're going to turn into our farm store.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
So I love the consignment idea.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
great
it's amazing.
idea.
No, that's, we hadn't thought about that. We're just going to sell our own produce.
But it brings so much variety because
Oh,
then
absolutely.
somebody we sell little girl twirl dresses because I'm a mom of 2 little girls, and so I mean somebody coming in to look at girl dresses all of a sudden see, oh, I didn't know you have a hand forged knife. Well, I have a husband who wants a gift for Father's Day, so and all of a sudden they're coming in for different reasons.
I'm going to guess the consignees become some of your advertisers. Because
Yeah, that's
they
our
have
hope.
friends who are interested in other things. And so, so it just kind of builds.
It really does build, yeah. And once again, it just always comes back to the community aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you're giving, that's where you're starting. And that seems to be the core and the passion that you have is to give and to help. And you'll benefit in the process, yes, but you're trying to make a difference there. So the community will be benefited.
Yeah, just create that snowball effect too.
Yes.
That's something we always want to make what we do duplicatable and help people to think like just do it however you can with the resources that you've been given.
Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to look just like us.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would be pretty boring.
So as far as farm type production things on your 20 acres, what are some of your goals there?
We thought we have done the chicken tractors. I built those.
Which style did you use?
Johnson Scoville.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
We talked to so many people yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did a video on that on YouTube, and it turned out well, and it's exactly what he makes it out to be. I mean, it's pretty stress free. It's pretty automatic. You move them once a day, and that was great. And we thought about, well, let's do a bunch of broilers. Let's and sell whole chickens, and then we've raised pigs. Pigs were the most fun animal we've had on our place. They were tremendous.
What kind did you have?
We had.
Well, one of them ended up being a potbelly.
Oh!
So that was just kind of but the other one was a mule foot cross. It was a heritage breed. Mule foot with I can't remember the breed.
I haven't heard of that.
She still got to like 250 plus pounds, just huge, but
Good bacon.
yeah, and I guess for us though, what we found is we love to raise the animals and be around the animals and have the animals on the place and
for our own eating.
For our own eating. I don't know that we're necessarily going to ever get to the point where we want to raise 1,000 broilers and.
Right.
It's just not for us.
Right.
And it was good to start out with 60. We started out with 60 broilers.
Right.
Okay, that's for us and a couple friends.
So your
and
ambition
family.
is to feed yourself.
We actually
and just really know and grow. So just whether it's meat, or vegetables.
we fed ourselves first, and then we did one set where we said, well, let's see if we can sell them. And we did, and then we said, you know what? We don't want to do this. Let's not do this. And then we got the phone call from the 2 people that we sold them to and said, are you going to do it some more? Well, no.
How many did you want?
How many did you want?
Yeah.
So we did it one more time.
Yeah.
And then we moved.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
But it's nice to be able to start out small.
Yeah.
And that's something
I
we need
don't-
to learn is just start out small and try it.
I'm not going to do.
But what we are going to do that goes along with feeding ourselves, but going beyond that, is we're going to plan on raising enough, whether it's meat chickens or vegetables, whatever it might be, to where we have an additional amount, say like 10%, that we're going to take, and that we're going to go distribute to people who need it.
Yeah.
We've
And we've challenged all the other homesteaders to do that
That's
too.
awesome.
because
That's
it's
terrific.
and our point there was, if everybody who could grow food grew more than what they needed and shared it with those who need, their local communities are going to eliminate any type of hunger problems that are in their area.
Wow. Yeah.
I think it's a powerful idea.
Absolutely.
With the right,
So that's
with
one of our
healthy
main goals.
food.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the nice thing about that too is if you're already going to raise 1 pig, throw an extra pig in there. It's not that much extra workload.
That's not hard.
And the amount of feed is not really, that's what we learned. Well, if we're going to raise 2 pigs next year, let's just raise 5 because it really doesn't take that much.
Yeah.
We have the space to do it. And then, give one away.
And like another thing that kind of incorporates, with the farmers market and what we're showing, we're including the community. And we live in a small community, farmers and ranchers, but when we had the farmers markets, I still did little tours of our itty bitty little nothing farm, and people love that. And so, like, if you're creating that atmosphere where people are able to come out to your farm to see what you're doing, then you can grow a few more broilers, and you don't have to feed them all, but you can show them, okay, this is how we're going to process one chicken today. And I've thought about that, like let's all learn the process of processing, so we all know how to process one chicken.
Right.
And we all and today we're gonna kill and process a hog on our place. Everybody come help out, check it out.
Absolutely.
And you get a lot of, and like for me, I was just like, nobody really wants to be a part of that, but a lot of people. Yeah, they just want to. If anything, they just want to be Snoopy. And see what you're doing. And
well, think about it. Your birth video that you did. Yeah. I mean, who's gonna want to go and watch that in real life?
Apparently, 16,000 people.
You would think that many people, but so yeah, those types of things get a lot of attention. People are curious,
and it's helpful. I mean, you're actually. I think. In our mindset, that really is helpful and good information to give people. It's not just to draw the crowd, but I mean, it's amazing how growing your own food, and you guys talk about it, we all know it, and I'm sure everybody watching knows, but it's amazing what growing your own food, doing all the work to produce, to harvest, whether it's meat or vegetables, it just makes, you're in a whole new realm.
Well, I appreciate vegetables, yes, a lot. Having gone through from seed all the way to harvest, there's a lot that goes into that, and I really appreciate it. I think about all of that time, all that effort, all that went into that, and I appreciate it when I eat it. But when I take an animal and I have to slaughter it and take care of it that way, I feel that when I'm eating, because not only the part I had to do, but when I think of that animal and the sacrifice that it's made for me,
we don't waste
anything. It's the appreciation of what I'm eating. Every bite is there, and it's not just an awareness. It goes way beyond awareness of where my food comes from, which I think too many people are too disconnected from that. But to feel that way about what I'm eating, and I know for vegetarians, I'm not being insensitive. I realize if people feel that they just can't bring themselves to do that, trust me, I understand. It's not easy. Every time I do it, I feel the same way. It's not easy to do, but I recognize that their purpose was for this. They've lived a good life. We've kept good care of them. They've been safe. They've been healthy. They've been comfortable. And the way that we do it is humane, and it's the quickest, easiest way it could be.
Well, Justin Rhodes says that you raise them so that they only have one bad day.
A few bad moments. But then it's very beneficial, and what it does for us, it's amazing because of what we put into it. And we feed them the best that we can feed them, and we know that what they're producing is the best possible that you could be obtained. And there's such a value to that.
Oh, and you can pass that on to your grandkids. We're trying to pass that on to our children. I mean, we don't, like, the news is the news because we don't have an appreciation for life anymore. And whether that's personal human life or, I mean, it starts with the realizing that the chicken has given its life so that we can, better our health, better our bodies and whatever. And that goes through then respecting human life, a lot there. So anyways, so the question that I have too, being semi-retired, how is homesteading, would you like tell other semi-retired, retired people to start a homestead?
We do all the time.
And what is even more amazing than the fact that we're saying that is that we are hearing back. Even yesterday at the premiere, we had several people say, we've been doing this for a couple of years, and they're our age or older. We're getting ready to do it. We're in the process of buying. We've been wanting to do it. You've inspired us. We're going to start looking for a place. I mean, that's what we're hearing over and over and over.
They'll say, are we too old? No, you're not.
Our kids are telling us we shouldn't do this, but this is what we really want to do. We're going to go do it.
Well, like coming from our generation, what I seem to, and maybe this is just a mindset that I have, but it's like, you know, we've worked in the corporate world now we're not there anymore, but in the corporate world, it was just like, okay, how soon can I retire? How much money exactly do I have? And then when can I go south and not do a single thing for the rest of my life?
Right.
Now,
You know, I feel like, why would you have that perspective when I see you guys living to the fullest every day, you know, and you're healthy and you're strong and you're capable and
Well, we just wrote in our newsletter, there is nothing magical about, oh, you turn 65, well, that's your line in the sand. You can no longer do anything you want to do.
yeah.
The people that are telling you that you cannot have a homestead are your kids, the government, the AARP, the retirement companies, the senior living companies. They have other plans for you.
Mhm.
You don't have to go to those plans.
Yeah.
I have no plan to follow their plan.
Yeah. Well, I think and that's the culture of the world that we live in.
Yes.
It's just, you know what? You've worked your butt off your whole life. Now you deserve
Yeah.
to
You
just sit
deserve
back.
to go
To
sit in
sit and
that
do nothing?
rocker.
Yeah.
Now, I am going to have a porch with a rocker.
There you go. I love it.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to have a jacuzzi to get in after I've worked a hard day on
Yes.
the farm, too.
well, I think the porch with the rockers for watching the sunset.
That's right.
And enjoying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at what's here.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. That's so great.
Mhm.
So,
Well, you know, one of my favorite days is during the summer, the height, things are growing and doing well, and to be out in the garden working and hearing the bees and the other pollinators, just this hum in the background. You know, it's music to my soul. It's like, you know, just to pause and you hear that and you know what's happening to the plants, and it's just so renewing.
mm.
So we'll issue you, young whippersnappers, a challenge. This is what we do. When we have a homestead and we're both working, we're doing whatever we're doing on it. When one of us sees a sunrise or a sunset or an animal doing something, and we call the other person knows, stop what they're doing and come right now, because it's a split second of that moment before it's gone.
Yeah.
And every evening, when we lived in the desert on our little homestead, we would sit our chairs to the west and watch as the sun went down, and then we'd get up and go back to work.
Mm.
So we just enjoy those small moments.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's a lot, as you know, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And what better? I mean, you don't get to do that very well in the city,
Oh, yeah.
and to be able to have that opportunity to pause and enjoy,
Mhm.
drink in what's there is fantastic.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, in a culture that everything's just so rush, rush, rush. Go to soccer practice, go to ballet practice, go to this meeting, go to this, you know, and it's just, people are so stressed and anxious and depressed in a culture where we have everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the American dream is so great, but yet so many people are chasing the wrong things, you know, and when you kind of just stop to enjoy those little moments together as a family, you just realize, oh, it's a lot easier in the slow lane. You know?
As a closing for what I get out of this is this amazing love for farming, for homesteading, for living with your family, wherever it is, in a way that you actually get to live.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You get to enjoy your life, and it doesn't matter how old you are, because I can tell you that we still feel like teenagers.
Mm.
You don't feel any different,
Mm-hmm.
just live different. You choose to live the way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I like your point about homesteading, homemaking, home. It's making
Homeschooling.
home. It's
Mm-hmm.
making home. That's what it has to revolve around. When we start having our life revolve around something other than home, I'm not sure what we have. But it's not something that's going to fill your soul.
Mhm.
Which is what we need. We all need that.
We're so thankful to be here with Heartiness Approach. Man, what a great time together. I hope you guys gleaned a little bit of something off of our time together.
And with 20 Acre Farms.
Yeah. So, thanks for allowing us to do this with you guys.
Thanks for coming on over. This has been great. We appreciate this, and we wanted to do it, and I don't know why we didn't.
We're so grateful that you called us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.